I'm a bird, mother. I'm a bird.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard review situation is disaster.
Dragon Age The Veilguard reviews are out and they are getting raving scores across the board from all professional journalistic outlets, giving it 9s out of 10s and 10s out of 10s and talking about how inclusive and great this game is for everyone, and it's fantastic. And that's if you take the words of these journalists.
I hate when people say Dragon Age is inclusive. Oh my god, it genuinely bothers my brain. You cannot say it's inclusive when it only is inclusive to like what, 5% of the population?
Journalists. What could possibly go wrong with that? What's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of Smash JT. I saw these reviews and I couldn't help but have a little bit of a half smile on my face just reading through them, because they're just absolutely abhorrently ridiculous if you're going to believe someone that's going into this game with an inherent bias that they're not revealing. Many of the reviewers that I've seen doing some background research on them are heavily on the LGBTQ plus spectrum, or identify as trans, or have something else going on upstairs where, I don't know, I feel like they have a little bit of a bias when it comes to reviewing a game that is pushing such inclusivity. So I couldn't help but take it a step further and say, okay, these are the reviews from the professional journals out there. Let's input this information into ChatGPT and have it spit out some information regarding what the overall consensus is. And what they said, holy crap, I wasn't prepared for this.
I'm ready.
I am ready.
Hit that subscribe, give me a like, and check out smashjt.com for the full article breaking down how I asked ChatGPT to give me a summary of what the reviews of Dragon Age The Veilguard were, and it is definitely something. Dragon Age...
Wait, I am curious now. Let's see what it says. Searching. Reviews for Dragon Age The Veilguard has been mixed, with praise for the game's visual style and world building alongside... Okay, in short, faces criticism for clunky, slow-feeling combat mechanics. The game emphasizes dark, morally complex choices, appealing to fans of the series' gritty tone. However, the shift to an action-oriented combat system might not resonate with all players. Cut the BS. What are most people actually saying? Even ChatGPT is trying to gaslight me here. Most people are saying Dragon Age The Veilguard falls flat. The game has strong visuals and interesting world building, but combat feels painfully sluggish with many... Okay, no, that's not what people are even saying.
Age The Veilguard continues BioWare's legacy of inclusivity in the RPG genre, particularly regarding the LGBTQIA+ representation. The game offers players a rich array of romantic and platonic interactions, allowing them to engage in same-sex romances and flirtations across various characters. Because when I play a fantastical fantasy RPG setting in another realm, I care about banging everything I see, because yeah, that's how a brain normally works.
I honestly, up until recently, I didn't even know that's an option in Cyberpunk.
Baldur's Gate 3.
I already knew it has it, but I'm avoiding it like the plague. Stardew Valley, I only recently found out it has relationship options. Skyrim has romance options. I had no idea about it.
I know Fallout 4 had like affinities, like if they like you or dislike you.
My point is, I don't have any interest exploring romance options in games. I think it's such a niche demographic that actually wants it.
The inclusivity extends beyond romance, with a robust character creator that allows queer players to shape heroes that represent their identities authentically. This thoughtful design has made the Veilguard a standout in terms of representation, establishing it as a milestone in LGBTQIA+ inclusion, similar to Dragon Age Inquisition, which... No, I mean, based off of the people that actually play these games and know what Inquisition was, sure, it started to go down that road and touch on some of these themes a little bit, but Veilguard pulls the proverbial band-aid off those scars to show the world exactly what they're trying to push here. Through its commitment to meaningful diversity and personalization, BioWare once again creates a space for LGBTQIA+ players to feel seen and celebrated in a mainstream RPG, which ironically, based off of that, would mean that the RPG is no longer mainstream. They took what was mainstream and made it for a particular segment of the gaming audience, which is exactly what the issue is that a lot of people have with this right now.
I have to agree with Smash's points like through and through, but it makes you wonder. So if you made the game specifically for that demographic, right? Nothing wrong with it. If you want to make a game specifically for that demographic, go ahead. Then why the hell are all these companies, including BioWare, mad at gamers for not wanting to play it? Where you already are saying that this game is for a specific demographic. Then why are you saying that people are bad for not wanting to play a game for that is for that specific demographic? That doesn't make sense.
The overall summary generated by AI discusses everything except the game itself, which you would think is why people would want to be playing this game. Nothing in the review summary says anything about any of that. It's all about sexuality, dialogue choices, and how people are feeling when they wake up one day. I'm like, how is this a Dragon Age game? What are we doing? What are we even playing here?
Because all of us who love playing fantasy RPG games, we just want to constantly listen about sexuality. I am a huge fantasy RPG fan.
She is.
The constant topic of sexuality is the last thing I want to see in my fantasy RPG game.
What is this? Judging by the professional reviewers, there's a clear inherent bias from many of them that were given the opportunity to review this game, and it is curious, at least I find it curious, that these people were randomly selected or were the chosen ones at all of these major outlets to be the reviewers of the game, to make sure that it gave a certain perspective to it, to make sure that the people reviewing it would cling to the ideologies that were being pushed in the game. Ironically, this is exactly why.
And again, nothing wrong with selecting the kind of people you want to showcase who reviewed your game. When you limit the reviewer code to every single person who criticizes even like the combat, you're kind of showing that you don't actually want people to review it.
These types of reviews always fly directly in the face of when the masses get the game, and the general public reviews show a stark contrast, proving what the gamers actually want to play will be far less glowing than what the critics gave the scores for it. And now that the game is being out there, screenshots are starting to circulate specifically about how far this game goes into indoctrination. Recent leaks from Dragon Age the Veilguard have ignited a heated debate on Twitter, specifically around the game's approach to trans representation. The screenshots that I've been seeing have characters discuss.
Take a long, hard look in it, kid. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. Scars are lessons learned. My scars are badges of honors. These scars are sexy. What?
Top surgery scars, referencing the chest surgery that some trans people undergo. In a title confusingly focused on inclusivity, the conversations signal that BioWare's commitment to diverse representation is coming at any cost. They don't care if they burn the series to the ground, as long as they get their inclusion and diversity into it. At the end of the day, that's all that seems to matter. In one of the dialogue option choices, they say, "Nice story, but that's not me." Gender identity options, tattoo options, I'm trying to live up to that. I look good, enough reflection.
Oh, this is just unnecessary.
Yeah, just have like a basic character creation. You don't need these freaking dialogues.
You know, a game in this genre might have a selection of options that you can pick from to feel closer and more connected to your character. But they are going full-on inclusivity with trans characters in seemingly every discussion you see. A screenshot that leaked recently has Tash saying, "Non-binary, I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on."
What? Non-binary, I just said, and I'm going to use they instead of she from now on. So it is completely in your face.
Yeah, this is not even like in the backdrop anymore. This feels like they're just throwing it at your face now.
What the hell?
Use they instead of she from now on. Like, talk about indoctrination and pushing ideologies on people in a video game. And I get it. It's a video game at the end of the day. It's not the end of the world. But this is the kind of thing you got to worry about, especially with the younger kids, or even if you're not younger, even if you're just very impressionable and you really love this game and you want to feel more connected to it. I worry that people might feel enabled to go down this road of doing something really, really scary to their body that they would regret in the future. It'll always show the face of a hero who can get it done. And then the options for the scars are a lesson learned, my scars are badges of honor, these scars are sexy. So you have the option of saying your scars that you got for becoming trans are sexy. Huh? And this option selection establishes transgender identity and unlocks new dialogue options in future conversations, almost encouraging play.
Why?
I have to agree with what Wismore said in the chat. These folks confuse fantasy with fetish.
Players to go down the trans path to find out what the dialogue conversations are. Do you see what they're doing here? And as I covered previously, the Veilguard's lead developer is openly trans. And the inclusion of this stuff all reflects an ideological self-insertion. Representation has...
And again, I have zero issues that someone is trans. I don't give a shit. You're another human being. My problem is when people make it their only personality.
Has little to no place in gaming. And that's a heated debate right now where people are like, oh, I want to see myself in a game. I need to see me in a game. And in reality, sure, you're going to have your one-offs, the weirdos out there that just have to see themselves in a video game. But for the vast majority of people that play games, really don't give a crap. We just want to play the game to have fun with the game. I don't need to see myself specifically in any title that I'm playing. It's almost like there's a lack of imagination in today's generation of people playing these games where they have to see themselves because they couldn't possibly envision themselves playing as a different character in another world. It has to be them there. It's kind of a weird level of narcissism. The model gamer said, "Hey EA BioWare, this sort of thinking did not exist during this time period this game is in. You are 100% pandering for an audience that has been proven doesn't put their money where their mouths are."
It's not even they don't put the money where their mouths are. It's also that they don't have any interest in actually playing games. Their only interest is social media. Their only interest is
Virtue signaling.
Yeah, it's not that trans people cannot create anything good. The Matrix was created by trans people, just an FYI. The problem is when people create something and self-insert themselves into something, and when they make their whole personality what they identify as.
And Crassy Kroll said, "I'm so pissed. I knew they were going to ruin this game. 10 years I've been waiting for this. I hope BioWare gets shut down." And this is exactly what's transpiring right now. This game was in development hell for upwards of a decade and got trashed and restarted multiple times. And they got to a point where...
So you want to tell me they worked on the slop for almost a decade? That's humiliating.
They put a trans developer in charge of the project. They did self-insertion, got far too down the line to change anything, and they're like, well, whatever, let's just put the game out now anyways because we need to make some sort of money back on it. But right now, the game's at such a failed state that even if they sell 2 million copies of it, they still will pale in comparison to what they've poured into making this game. It needs to be a complete banger, selling millions upon millions of copies for it to even break even. And that's not going to happen. Dragon Age...
It will not break even. Considering that they spent almost a decade on it, it's not gonna make them profit.
Age had originally, unapologetically, set some new industry standards for the LGBTQIA plus inclusion and Inquisition, but with the Veilguard, BioWare looks like they've crossed into a no-go zone. It's particularly concerning in a time when so many people are questioning the impacts of gaming on mental health and personal identity, and using these games as a vehicle to try to transition other people that might be on the fence about what they're thinking about their bodies because they woke up one day and felt a certain way about themselves. And while I always say game studios are allowed to make whatever hell game they want to, I look at stuff like this, ideologically driven, being very insidious with how they push a message. Game studios have a responsibility to approach these topics with caution, considering both the empowerment and the potential unintended consequences of the portrayals. They clearly didn't do anything of the sort with that here, and the gaming community on Twitter is completely teeing off on them today. And rightfully so. I have a feeling that this game is going to do much worse than BioWare ever could have expected, no matter what the great reviews are saying about it. But remains to be seen. I'm going to leave it there. If you guys...
It's gonna be a miracle if Dragon Age even comes back after this. The person who was in charge of it completely failed what she was supposed to do. And I will not be playing this game. I will not be purchasing it. I will not be playing it. I might have played Dustborn to laugh at it, but this is just, it's irresponsible.